Johann Heinrich Voss. German. Johann Heinrich Voss. Pronounced Fs. The 20th of February 1751 to 29 March 1826. Was a German classicist and poet, known mostly for his translation of Homer's Odyssey, 1781, and Iliad, 1793, into German. Life. Voss was born at Summersdorf in Mecklenburg-Strelitz as the son of a farmer. After attending the gymnasium at New Brandenburg from 1766 to 1769, he was obliged to accept a private tutorship in order to earn money to enable him to study at a university. At the invitation of Heinrich Christian Boy, whose attention he had attracted by poems contributed to the Göttingen Musenalmanach, he went to the University of Göttingen in 1772. Here he studied philology, his studies encompassing both classical and modern languages, and became one of the leading spirits in the famous Hainer Dichterbund. In 1775 Boy made over to him the editorship of the Musenalmanach, which he continued to issue for several years. He married Bowy's sister Ernestine in 1777. In 1778 Voss was appointed rector of the school at Ottendorf. In 1781, after the publication of several treatises, he produced a German-language text for Homer's Odyssey. This work made the poem national with the Germans. New ed. by Bernays. 1881. In 1782, Voss accepted the rectorship of the gymnasium at Eutin. There, in 1789, he published translations of Virgil's Eclogues and Georgics. In 1793, his translation of Homer's Iliad appeared, along with the Odyssey in a new form. He also produced 2 volumes of controversial letters addressed to Christian Gottlob Heine. Mythologische Brief. 1794. He retired from Eutin in 1802 with a pension of 600 thalers, and settled at Jena. In 1805, although Johann Wolfgang von Goethe used his utmost endeavors to persuade him to stay, Voss accepted a call to a professorship of classical literature at the University of Heidelberg. Here, in the enjoyment of a considerable salary, he devoted himself entirely to his literary labors, translations and antiquarian research until his death. Work, poetry and essays. Voss was a man of a remarkably independent and vigorous character. From 1785 to 1795 he published in 2 volumes a collection of original poems, to which he afterwards made many additions. An edition of his poems in 4 volumes was issued in 1825. Of these original works, the idyllic poem Louise is uniformly singled out as his most successful. It was first printed in 1783, and reissued with changes in 1795. In this work, he sought to apply the style and methods of classical poetry to the expression of modern German thought and sentiment. The later works Wie Ward Fritz Stolberg ein Unfreier, 1819, and Anti-Symbolic, 2 vols, 1824–1826, the latter written in opposition to Georg Friedrich Kreuzer, have been characterized as painstaking and dignified, but dreary. His poems were often set by contemporary composers such as C. P. E. Bach, Johann Friedrich Reichardt, and Johann Abraham Peter Schultz, and also later composers such as Felix Mendelssohn, Carl Maria von Weber, and Johannes Brahms. Many of his poems and settings of them were published in the Musenalmanach. Based on his correspondence with Schultz, he favored a folk-like style of Lied composition. Voss's Mythologische Brief, his Anti-Symbolic, and other writings made important contributions to the study of mythology. He was also prominent as an advocate of the right of free judgment in religion, and at the time when some members of the Romantic school were being converted to the Roman Catholic Church, He produced a strong impression by a powerful article in Sophronision on his friend Friedrich von Stolberg's repudiation of Protestantism. 1819. Translations. It is, however, as a translator that Voss chiefly owes his place in German literature. His translations indicate not only sound scholarship but a thorough mastery of the laws of German diction and rhythm. The most famous of his translations are those of Homer. The translation of the Odyssey, as originally issued in 1781, is singled out as the most successful. He also translated Hesiod, 1806, Theocritus, Bion and Moschus, 1808, the whole of Virgil, 1799, Rev. ed. 1821, Horace, 1806, Tibullus, 1810, Propertius, 1830, and selections from Ovid, 1798. He prepared a critical edition of Tibullus from 1818 to 1829. A translation of William Shakespeare's plays in 9 volumes was published. This work Voss completed with the help of his sons Heinrich and Abraham, both of whom were scholars and writers of considerable ability, though the result has been characterized as less successful than Schlegel's work. Voss's Samblish Poetische Werke were published by his son Abraham in 1835. New ed. 1850. A selection is in A. Sauer, Der Göttinger Dichterbund, Volume I. Joseph Kirschner's Deutsche Nationalliteratur, Volume 49, 1887. His letters were published by his son in 3 or 4 volumes. Halberstadt, 1829 to 1833. Voss left a short autobiography, Abrius meines Lebens, 1818. See also Wilhelm Herbst, Johann Heinrich Voss, 3 volumes. Leipzig, 1872 to 1876. Friedrich Hüsner, Johann Heinrich Voss als Schulmann in Newton. Festschrift zum 100-jährigen Gedenktag seiner Ankunft daselbst, 1882. And Another Life by Paulus. Heidelberg, 1826. Also Prutz, Der Göttinger Dichterbund. Leipzig, 1841. According to Bartlett's familiar quotations, Voss is the most likely source for the phrase Wein, Weibund Gesang, or, in English, wine, women and song. Voss's full phrase is Wer nicht liebt Wein, Weibund Gesang, der bleibt einen sein Leben lang. He who loves not wine, woman and song, remains a fool his whole life long. Notes. Gilman, D. C. Peck, H. T. Colby, F. M. eds. 1905. Voss, Johann Heinrich. New International Encyclopedia. 1st ed. New York. Dodd, Mead, Chisholm, Hugh, ed. 1911. Voss, Johann Heinrich. Encyclopaedia Britannica. 11th ed. Cambridge University Press. Reines, George Edwin, ed. 1920. Voss, Johann Heinrich. Encyclopaedia Americana. Voss, Johann Heinrich. Collier's New Encyclopedia. 1921. Voss, Johann Heinrich. The Nuttall Encyclopedia. 1907. Works by or about Johann Heinrich Voss at Internet Archive. Works by Johann Heinrich Voss at LibriVox. Public domain audiobooks.